On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, it's the two biggest questions in the world of basketball right now. Number one, could Simone Biles dunk a basketball? It is tearing this country apart. A lot of opinions out there. I'm gonna do what I always do on this show and just get down to the truth. And I'm gonna shoot you guys straight. I don't always say the popular thing, Tate, but I will say the right thing. And I have the definitive take on whether Simone Biles could actually dunk a basketball. Number two topic that everybody's talking about. Everybody. You can't go anywhere in this country, meet a basketball fan, and not hear him talk about it. Joe Lunardi has put out his preseason bracketology. I think he technically put it out before August 1st, so he put out a July bracketology. Cincinnati, a 5 seed in Denver? I don't know. We'll talk about that. Is that too high? Is it too low? A lot of thoughts about. I'm kidding, of course. The United States men's national basketball team, still can't quite figure out what to call them. Team USA, 2-0 in the Olympics, and as it turns out, Kevin Durant is all the difference. That was what we were worried about with all these wake up calls and exhibition play. Would USA pull their head out of their ass and start playing better basketball, or would it just be as simple as like plug Kevin Durant in, who's probably the greatest international basketball player ever? And just let him be awesome. And maybe that was it. Maybe that was the solution. We beat Serbia rather easily. We handled South Sudan, a team that almost beat us in an exhibition game. A lot to parse out. Like I've always been saying, there's always like a disclaimer with the USA talk. Like I understand that you're sort of splitting hairs when you're talking about definitive wins like this and trying to find problems or trying to figure out like which tweaks you would make in the lineup and all that sort of stuff. But it is interesting that an MVP from 2 years ago did not even get off the bench in an Olympic game. That is interesting. It is interesting that the guy who did not win Finals MVP but is the face of the Boston Celtics franchise, just won an NBA championship, was named first team All-NBA. In the first game against Serbia, Jayson Tatum, I'm talking about, obviously, did not get off the bench. These things are interesting, and I think that's what makes Team USA so compelling. If you're someone who's like, I don't understand why people give a shit about this, they're going to win by 20 every game. It's stuff like that, because I think that only in this environment can you see the best players in the world, literally you have the 12 of the best players in the world all playing on one team, and to watch the power dynamics at play, to watch the decisions that are made, to watch Steve Kerr, try to keep everybody happy, but at the same time realize that like you can't just throw out any lineup and beat anybody. You can't have that much hubris. You do have to take into account how guys are playing and how they fit together and all that sort of stuff. So those are I think Embiid and Tatum are the big talking points after 2 games, because Team USA is looking good. Not everybody's looking good though. Tatum and Embiid both get Tyrese Halliburton did as well, even though that wasn't quite as newsworthy. Both get a DNP. LeBron and Steph aren't playing particularly well. That's sort of interesting. How much it's going to matter, I don't know. But that dynamic all is interesting to me, because you have Steve Kerr, the head coach of the Warriors, and Steph Curry's his legendary player who's not playing well right now. How will he handle that down the road? There's a lot to talk about there. Maybe a little 3-on-3, which is an event that's going on in the Olympics right now. 3-on-3 basketball that I think people are stumbling upon, and I don't know how many are stumbling away from or how many are sticking with it or whatever else, but we might talk a little bit about that. And Gordon Hayward retired. Shout out to Gordon Hayward. Maybe talk about Gordon Hayward a little bit. Tate is here with me, and we're gonna have some fun talking mostly Team USA, but I gotta say, like, the bulk of the show might be Cincinnati being a 5 seed in Denver and Joe Lunardi's preseason. I am excited. I love that. I talk out both sides of my mouth with this stuff, because I see like a Joe Lunardi bracketology pop up on my timeline in July, and I laugh and I go, what the fuck, Joe? What are we doing? And then you know what else I do? I click on it and I scroll through it and I take it very seriously. So I'm a hypocrite, and I'm eating the slop just like a lot of you are. Enough of that. Let's get into it. All right, Tate. Team USA 2-0 in pool play, in group play, in what do they call group play? Do they call pool play?
The group
Does
stage.
It matter? Group stage. We're 2-0. Again, beat Serbia. We beat South Sudan. 2 teams that we are playing again. We played them in exhibition play, which obviously didn't count for anything except a little money in Nike's pockets, I guess, for advertising on the USA Showcase or whatever they call it.
Get the drama going, too.
Yeah, get the drama going a little bit. They did a good job of it. Team USA did a good job of giving us something to talk about.
A great job of it.
Because we were rightfully, I might say, like, what else are you like? There is a sense that, like, okay, when the real games roll around, they're going to be fine, and I sort of believe that, but also when you're in a position like going into the Olympics and you have the data, all you can go off is the data you have, and you're like, I've watched this team play a few games now. I didn't watch, but I heard about the game they played against the select team with the Cooper Flag team, when that became a thing. It sounds like they're not playing, and from what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing, it looks and sounds like they're not playing good basketball right now. I'm looking around the rest of the world, and I'm like, they're better, and you're seeing the stats about the Dream Team played against the 5 NBA players, and USA's playing against 60 or whatever it is, and you're like, all right, we got to get our heads out of our asses. But I'll be damned, they did. And so far, 2 games in, Serbia and South Sudan, that we've already played them. So to have those now, Serbia in the exhibition, if I remember right, like we kind of handled them in the second half a little bit. But South Sudan was the game that was played on Wednesday. That was a big one for me because I think the tone was set out of the gate that we're not going to fuck around this time. We're going to play some defense, and they locked up. Not everybody played well. We can talk about that, but that was refreshing. Was at least they respected the South Sudan team.
And correct me if I'm wrong here, but no, I don't think anyone was saying after the exhibition games that this U.S. team is in trouble of losing to South Sudan. But those exhibition games, whether you want to say we were trying hard or working on lineups or whatever it was, they were a wake-up call, and that was no more evident than watching us play South Sudan the other day.
Right.
So no, I don't. I think credit to us, credit to this podcast.
We might have done it.
I
think we might have helped wake them up a little bit. Yeah, it's not that I was worried again, like you said, that we were going to lose to South Sudan. It was more that I was worried that I was going to be deprived of like a great summer of basketball. Basically, I was worried that like we were gonna maybe win gold, but I would look back on it and just be like, that fucking sucked, dude. Like we kind of
no, this is fun. I love everything.
But I'm
about
having
this.
so much fun.
I'm
now
having
watching
fun,
them play.
and like we said, the exhibition schedule has added to the fun.
Right.
Because if we come in here and we handle Serbia and then we handle South Sudan, it's like, hey, that's what we're supposed to do. There was time, and there's still things that are happening with, which I'm sure we'll get to, people sitting out and coaching decisions and everything that is making this very fun to be a part of.
Yeah, and the basketball's been fun. I mean, like honestly, when they're locked in and the offense is going to be the offense. When you have that many guys that talented, they're going to get their points. For me, it's been such a joy to watch them play defense, to watch guys like buy in in a FIBA situation, and maybe we talk about that a little bit because that became sort of a discussion point. Durant was getting on Twitter and talking back and forth with guys about the FIBA versus NBA rules, but FIBA is a different game, and if you were a big time cynic, you would say that there's a fear that the USA NBA guys are divas, and when they get in this FIBA setting, they're going to be soft's not the right word. They're going to be just bitching at the refs like they do in the NBA. They're going to be, like they're not going to want to do the dirty work that it takes to like win basketball games sometimes against, say, a Serbia or like maybe we have to play Canada down the road. So far, what I've seen, there's a lot of buy-in. There's a lot of like, I'm here to fucking guard, and like Derek White's a great example of that. Like him being added to the team. He's a guy who absolutely knows his role, plays it very, very well. But that's been the joy for me to watch, is like to see guys that, frankly, there are times in like mid-January where I throw on my television and I'm watching an NBA game and I'm like, this sucks that guy doesn't care about defense, or this, I don't want to say they don't play defense in the NBA, but I think if you're arguing that they truly give a fuck every possession, I think you're equally as crazy.
Right.
So sometimes you catch them on the wrong night and you're like, man, I don't like it. But to see all those guys like buying in,
and
cool.
I will give LeBron James, I will honestly give him 100% credit for that. I think that he is the clear leader of this team. He might not be the head coach on the bench. He has set the tone how important this Olympics is, and I think our effort, it is not what you see on a nightly basis in the NBA. It is, we're playing for our country, we're playing for a gold medal, and I think it reflects his leadership.
Yeah.
Which is why we gave him the American flag and made him, George Washington coming down the Potomac.
That was pretty sweet, but I hate that it rained. That kind of took
away. We got AI nowadays. Let's just
no. He retired. Brandon Walker's poisoned my brain to like every time I say the letters AI, he makes an Allen Iverson
I didn't
joke.
see that one coming.
He makes it out. He does that to me, and then now it annoyed the fuck out of me. So now I do it.
Yeah.
just to like.
It's like your
I
dad
do it
making a
'cause
dad joke, and then you recycle it.
Yeah, exactly. And I hate that I'm becoming Brandon Walker. But anyway, Kevin Durant has been a content goldmine the last, I'd say, month, really, because like not playing in the exhibitions made him a talking point, and we talked about it a little bit that like, is USA struggling because the guys aren't playing well together? Is it because Joel Embiid is starting and he just like is a square peg in a round hole? Like this does not seem to be a good fit. Is Kerr tinkering with the lineups too much? He was doing like some platoon shit in these exhibitions, or is it as simple as just plug Kevin Durant in and we'll be fine? So we were talking. Well, that was like a talking point, and then Durant is now healthy. He's playing. And against Serbia, he comes in and has like basically a perfect game, which is also going to be a fun talking point because I think he was already in that position, but I think it's definitive now. Assuming he doesn't completely fuck it up from here and like we don't even medal because Kevin Durant was a bozo, which is not going to happen. But if that were like assuming that doesn't happen, Kevin Durant's going to go down as the greatest international basketball player of all time.
He is, and I sit here this morning and we've got our chests out. USA, we're 2-0. We're doing what we said we were going to. Let's not forget, though, first game against Serbia here in the Olympics, they got out and they got after us a little bit.
Yeah.
They got out and they got after us. Vibes were not great. KD subs in.
Yep.
And KD single-handedly, I mean, he was heat checking. And then he was heat checking his heat checks.
Yeah.
And they were all going. And even the last play of the half, it's like he catches it off balance and he's got to turn around. And then that goes in. So, yeah, I feel great about where the USA is, and no one can say that, hey, this is exactly who we thought they were going to be. KD put us on the back in the first half there when we were getting beat by Serbia.
Yeah, he did.
What if KD just played okay? There's a hypothetical for you in July.
I do. I don't think Serbia had the horses, which is ironic because their best player is a horse. Is a horse guy. Yeah, he's a horse guy. He's a. Did you say he's literally a horse?
Horse guy.
Oh, horse guy.
Yeah.
I thought he was a guy.
And a workhorse.
I was like, go on. Hold
workhorse.
On. He's literally. I hadn't heard this theory.
But Durant was 8 for 8 in the first half.
Yeah.
And it took it from like I know you got to withstand the USA going this group, then this group, then this group, which they probably weren't going to do anyways. KD made sure of that.
Yeah, it has become evident. It already was, but to see it on display, like I love the second unit, but then I realized I think I just love whoever. I don't think when I say I love the second unit, it doesn't mean I love Anthony Edwards and Kevin Durant, although I do, and Bam Adebayo and all those guys. It means I love literally whoever is coming off the bench of any USA game, and the reason why is because we have depth that no other team has. So like every game you watch, that does seem to be like the game starts, and it feels like the starters, the LeBrons and Steph, who have not really been playing well. They're doing a lot of feeling out, and then both teams kind of start going to their bench. And when that happens, Serbia's bringing in, I forget their names. I forget their names. Damn, I had it on the tip of my tongue too. I had their whole bench on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, they're bringing in dudes you kind of had never heard of, and we're bringing in fucking all NBA caliber guys, and that's when it becomes really fun.
Think about preparing for the United States, because you have a very small chance of withstanding our original storm of 2 of the best basketball players to play ever.
Yeah.
5 all-NBA starters. Okay, now we get to the bench. Good luck guarding Ant.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis might be coming in.
Right.
Jayson Tatum every once in a while might come in. Kevin Durant coming into the game.
Yeah. The fact that Jayson Tatum and Joel Embiid have DNPs is crazy. That's crazy to how. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
so game 1, the big story is that Tatum and Halliburton don't play, but nobody really talked about Halliburton, because Halliburton, I love Halliburton. I'm a Pacers guy, so like he's awesome, and I fucking love him. But at the same time, I think, once the roster was set, if you said that Tyrese Halliburton was the last guy off the bench, I don't think people would be like, what? Huh?
Right.
I don't think that's exactly stunning people. But Tatum, so Tatum became the talking point. Tatum doesn't even play, and it both boggles the mind to have a first-team All-NBA guy who just won a championship, and he didn't win MVP, and I've been critical of Tatum and through the playoffs, and I don't think he should have won MVP. We did the show together. We both wrote down who we think should win. We talked about it at length. I don't think he should have won MVP, but having said that, like he did play well in the playoffs. It's not like Tatum's on like a stinker of a run as a basketball player. So it boggles the mind in that regard, but then you do start thinking about it. You're like, he's not playing. He's not going to play over LeBron. He's not going to play over Durant. Anthony Edwards and Devin Booker, I think they're not better NBA players than him, but they have been better. They've been better FIBA players, and you could argue, like, if you're a Timberwolves or Suns fan, maybe you do want to have that argument. I don't. The point is, like, they have kind of been better FIBA players than it. Like, if you've been watching exhibition games, like, Tatum has not been playing great, and Edwards and Booker have both been really, really good on both ends of the floor. So when you flesh it out like that, and you're like, there are only so many minutes, and you have all these perimeter type guys ahead of him, it kind of makes sense that he doesn't play. But then I go back to full circle, and I'm like, how the fuck did he didn't get 5 minutes?
he doesn't get 5 minutes. And also, I think one thing that optically kills this, especially for the egos involved, would be, Derek White and Drew Holiday are out there getting minutes. Like, this would be you talking about Halliburton, not getting minutes, but no one freaked out. Well, Andrew Nembhard wasn't out there playing 20 minutes.
Yeah, you're right.
So Jayson Tatum is the leader of his team. If not Jaylen Brown, neither of them are playing for Team USA. And Derek White's out there playing, who 2 weeks ago we were saying were the fourth best player.
Yeah, the Boston Celtics have two guys. There's a Boston Celtics tandem that's getting a lot of run in the Olympics for Team USA. And neither one of them are Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum. That's crazy. Which speaks to how deep the Celtics are, which we were talking about the entire playoffs. Like, it's not just these two guys. It's not one guy. It's like the whole fucking team is good. But, yeah, that's the part that's just, like, hard to compute. But it was also made worse by Steve Kerr, like, almost being befuddled as to how it happened. Like, in the post-game messaging was just like, wow, shit. Yeah, that did kind of got away from me. I was looking at
feel like an idiot.
Oh, what an idiot. I can't believe I did that.
What's his listen, I look at this through the coach's lens. Like, I feel like he looks like a clown right now. I feel like no, I do. He looks to me like a 8th grade basketball coach that played what he thought was the best lineup. Yeah. And then mom and dad in the crowd asked him for a parent meeting the next day. And then all of a sudden the next game, Jayson Tatum starts, and the first play of the game, they run a little LeBron backdoor to Jayson Tatum.
They did.
That's crazy.
That is a little crazy.
That's 4th grade basketball.
But I criticize him, yes. Do you think it's sort of a thankless job? Do you think it's because there's more than two ways to handle it, but there's like let's work on a binary scale of how you can be the head coach of Team USA. You can either be the cutthroat guy who's like, I do not give a fuck about your feelings. Correct. I am here to win basketball games, and I will put I can have all 5 first team All NBA guys on this roster, and I'll bury them on the bench if they're not playing hard.
And my question there, obviously you can't do that, because what's in it for Steve Kerr to do that?
Yeah,
like what's in it for Steve Kerr to ruin these guys' egos, reputations, and be the bad guy when you can win either way.
LeBron has 3 turnovers in a row, say. Steve Kerr's like, get your fucking ass out of here.
Correct.
Like you could...
Like a 1970s high school coach, you don't need to treat LeBron James like that.
Bob Knight probably did that in the 84 Olympics, if I'm being honest. That's probably how he coached the 84 Olympics. But... You could do that's an extreme example, but like you could take on that sort of persona and be like, I'll play. I won't play 5 guys. We'll go with 7-man rotation, and that's like I'm fine doing that because that's how we're gonna win these games. Or you could go the other way and be a participation trophy ass coach that just like rolls them all out there and gives everybody equal burn. And you're John Calipari in 2015, and you got all the talent in the world, but you're so preoccupied with trying to be fair and equitable that you ultimately don't produce the best product from your team, right?
Right.
I think if you do either one, you're a bozo and you're a clown. And I think Ohio State is sitting in that chair saying Steve Kerr's being a fucking clown.
I do think that if he called heads, I'd say he should have called tails. If he called tails, I should be like, dude, call heads. But I do think that is very valid to say he didn't play Tatum, then all of a sudden Tatum starts. And then I think that he needs to, and then I think he looked in the mirror. He's like, well, I got to not play somebody else to make sure like now we're playing. So here's my biggest gripe today.
There's going to be one D. Everybody's going to get a DNP.
Exactly. That's what it is. It's like in 6th grade basketball when you have your scheduled time off. But I think my biggest gripe, and I get it, like I'm not mad that he's the coach, and I think it's a thankless job, and I think it'd be really easy for anyone to do it, but also really hard for anyone to do it. I think the idea that he then turned around and sat Embiid and now has announced that Embiid is starting our 3rd game really gives this
strange.
Like weird.
It's very strange.
And his reasoning is fine, which is I'm putting out the best lineups for this team. If Embiid is not in the best lineup for this team we're about to play, he won't play. If Tatum's not, okay. if Steph Curry's not going to shoot very well and he's the one that gets exposed on defense. Steve Kerr, are you going to be the one to bench Steph Curry?
I'm glad you brought this up because I think that's where it gets really juicy. Is Steph against South Sudan? I don't even think it's controversial to say. I don't even think it's debatable. Steph Curry was the worst player for Team USA on the floor. He went 1 for 9. His one make was a layup on baseline out of bounds, if I remember right. Which is kind of I could have made it. Like he just kind of cut to the bucket, and there was a well executed play, and he just catches and lays it in. Didn't hit shit from 3. I don't need it explained to me that Steph Curry can get hot at any moment, and like this doesn't mean that he's going to be cold the rest of the turn. Like he could get hot, of course, but if Steph's not hitting shots, he is a turnstile on defense. He was atrocious, and like the comebacks that South Sudan like starts, hitting everything, and they're penetrating and moving the ball and hitting threes, and like it was never in jeopardy. We got the big halftime lead. I think they cut it to 12 at one point. I don't think it got to single digits. Maybe it did.
I think it was 11 was the closest.
Yeah, something like that. But they made it a little interesting. But all of those waves seemed to happen when Steph was on the floor, and it was happening because he just like wasn't playing. He's the one guy that's not buying in defensively. And to your point, that's when the Tatum DNP against Serbia and the Embiid DNP against South Sudan become really juicy. Is like if Steph continues doing this in the Olympics, which is to say like not hitting shots and not playing defense, at some point if Steve Kerr is a man of character, frankly.
Stand by what you think.
At some point, like when we play Canada, Steph would be a liability. Like the way he played against South Sudan, he would be a liability against a team like Canada, and we would I would seriously, no hyperbole, be concerned about our chances of winning a gold medal if like Steph Curry was playing like he did. Now, again, Steph can turn it around and play great, but if Steph is getting like 25, 30 minutes against Canada and he's playing like he did against South Sudan, we actually might be in trouble against
Then we
Canada.
could be in trouble. So, and I get it. I'm pulling hairs over here. It's be who you say you are, Steve Kerr, which is, I hate that I'm criticizing him. I'm so happy for Team USA, everything like that. But if you're going to say you're doing what's best for the team and that's why you're sitting out an NBA could have been finals MVP, first team, whatever, then Steph's the one who's hurting us right now.
You got to start looking at Steph. Yeah, LeBron wasn't very good either.
No.
LeBron's
important. LeBron will not be getting any DNPs.
LeBron will. I don't know why. I mean, is it because LeBron is better than Steph? Is that why? Because LeBron's like probably the greatest player of all time. Is that why I don't have a problem with him playing poorly? But no, LeBron will play defense still. Like LeBron he's been turning the ball over a lot. There are a lot of moments where he's like, it's not necessarily my turn basketball, but it probably is. It's like the cousin of my turn basketball, which is I'm going to put on a show basketball. It's like the game's out of order or out of reach. So like, let me now.
It's my turn.
Let me now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it is a little my turn, but it's also like LeBron's like, I'm going to give these people a show real quick. I know they came to see me. Which they kind of did.
These people in Paris and wherever, Abu Dhabi and all these places we've been.
So there's been a little bit of that where he's not necessarily like always shooting, but he's trying to make that. I mean, he kind of did it to start the game with that behind the back pass to Tatum, and it was.
Do you think that was scripted?
On it.
Like that was completely scripted.
Yeah, they're trying to get Tatum a bucket.
Do you just? I don't know.
Because you saw Halliburton comes off the bench. He got 2 threes right away.
That's what I'm
immediately.
Saying. So I do want to talk about that first play before we get back to Embiid, though. How is Jayson Tatum, and he just signed a huge contract, and he's all NBA, and he's sitting there. Is he sitting in that locker room and Steve Kerr's like, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get Jayson.
We got to get Jayson going.
Like, how do you not say fuck that?
And then Steve Kerr like rubs the top of his head. He's like, don't worry, little guy.
That's what I'm saying.
You're going to do great, little guy.
Steve hit the point of no return in game 1. I can't believe when we're kicking the shit out of Serbia, you have to get him in the game so it's not a story, right?
Yeah.
But like at some point so it was just made up in his mind he wasn't playing him. I don't like that.
Because the other question I had coming out of the first game was like, because people were saying like, all right, the game's out of reach. There's 5 minutes left. Say, just throw Tatum. What are we doing? Like, how do you not throw him in? If you're Tatum, would you have wanted to go? Would you want the pity walk-on minutes?
Great question. See,
would you have wanted the?
When you're up big and you're a senior in high school and then coach is like, all right, you're in. Are you like, fuck that? No way. Keep playing.
Dude, there were times when I got the walk-on minutes and I didn't want that. There were times like there'd be 17 seconds left and Mata would turn to me and be like, Morgan, I'm like, coach, there's fucking like by the time I get up and go walk to check in, the game's gonna be over. Like, all right, fine, I'll Yeah.
And it
it's
scares
like,
me.
I don't need this, but I guess that's how Club Trillion came to be. I was just like,
I've heard a
I guess
little
I'll
of this
do it.
point, and I like it. And it's if it's so hard to play 12 players, don't take 12.
Don't take 12
Because what's going to happen is this. If you're not in that first group or the group that you know is going to play, you don't want to sit the bench. You don't want to be a first-team All-NBA player and then sit the bench. You're going to stop wanting to play for Team USA.
Mm-hmm.
And we're losing these guys before 2028. And in America, we want to keep everyone happy.
Yeah, because I think for Steve Kerr, it's less about the X's and O's and it's more about the EGOs.
Really good. Really good.
Did you clip that last time? Did we do just fucking
I
insane
blogged
numbers? Because if not, I'd just give you another one. We could try it. We could try that again. We could run it back. No, so we got Puerto Rico on Saturday.
33-point favorites.
Yeah, that'll be an easy win. We're kind of going through the motions a little bit. I do think it's going to get interesting at some point, but I have been enjoying watching this team play, and I will say that. I think that's important. Is that I do see a sentiment, and maybe it's just because I'm a sensitive little bitch and I get worked up about stuff too easily. But there is sort of a sentiment in this country from sports fans that are like, why even waste your time watching this if you know we're going to win a gold medal? You know we have all the talent, all that sort of stuff. And there are years in the Olympics when I watch us play basketball and it's like we win gold, but I'm not having fun necessarily. I'm like this team should be so much more. It's like I don't know. There are just moments where you're like, I wish they could just pull it together a little better. I do think this team is playing great, and the first two games, I think they're fucking a ton of fun to watch. I think they're very selfless, and I am very much enjoying myself. And there are a lot of great personalities, and we've talked about it before that you have guys like Durant is a guy who I'm not particularly fond of in the NBA. I don't hate him, but I'm just like, I don't know. He's not a guy that I'm like dying to root for as an NBA player. Would go to war for him when he puts on the USA. Right now.
Exactly.
Right now. When he puts on the USA jersey, go to war.
100%.
The best example to me, though, is Devin Booker, who, when he's playing for the Phoenix Suns, he is soft. He's frankly a pussy. He's soft. He only cares about scoring. All I see every time I see him in a Phoenix Suns jersey is that video where he's getting double teamed, and he's like, "Stop it, stop."
But that's not him right now.
When Devin Booker puts on the Team USA, I'm like beating my chest.
Exactly.
I'm like, that's a fucking guy who gets it. You need guys like you need hard-nosed motherfuckers
Which
like
is
him
so
on your
crazy.
team. It is crazy, but like something about that jersey. But it's the buy-in, really. It's when guys are bought in. I think it's so fun, and it flips my perception on its head of certain players. And I think Devin Booker's the best example because I love him on Team USA, and I'm like lukewarm at best about him on the Suns.
I think you talked earlier about like what you enjoy watching. I know you like the FIBA rules. What I've really enjoyed is this Team USA. Like, yeah, we got all the All-Stars, but it's like almost going back and teaching kids and teaching basketball players, you need role players.
Yeah.
Like, who's better, Derek White or Jayson Tatum? Jayson Tatum's a better basketball player. Derek White is not in these discussions of DNPs. Who's better, Joel Embiid or Bam Adebayo?
Right.
Bam is freaking awesome right now.
Yeah. Oh, he's been incredible.
And it's just like, yeah, we've got our stars, but we've got our pieces. Devin Booker being one of them. Ant goes in and does exactly what we're asking him to do. It's been fun to watch.
But that's why I think Booker on the Suns is the star. I mean, he plays with Durant, but he's still the star. And you could argue he's like the face of that franchise, even though Durant's there because he's been there longer and he's the guy they drafted and they're bringing up and all that sort of thing. And Durant's more of the mercenary. But when he's on USA, he does accept his role, and he does take on the attitude of like, I'll do whatever you need from me, and he's great on both ends of the floor. And I think that's ultimately it. Is like you need guys who don't care about their legacy. You need guys that like Derek White. If he does not score in a game, he's not like concerned or consumed with the idea that Skip Bayless is going to be fucking dragging him on Monday morning on a show or something. And I'm not saying that these guys actually care about what Skip or anyone else said, but like that, just like the whole idea of like, I have a legacy to play for. You need guys who don't have a legacy. Like, frankly, like you need like Derek White, great player. Derek White's not going to have a legacy. Like in terms of like he doesn't have to worry about like, am I going to be the third face on the NBA Mount Rushmore? Am I going to be, am I in the top 10? Like he's just like, I want to play great basketball. People who saw me play are going to look back on my career very fondly. I'm going to win a lot of shit. I'm going to make a ton of money. I'm going to have a great time. I'm going to have a very successful career. But there are other guys who, and obviously Tatum is one of them. Tatum has the talent to be like a legacy type guy. So I wonder how much that factors into it.
You can't have 5. I know it's like the old adage, like there's only one basketball. We can't throw 5 guys out there that are worried about what they look like to the outside.
Right.
And it's fun to watch.
Embiid is I truly do believe Tatum. I don't know. I can never figure Tatum out, which is why he's always so fun to talk about, because it's like he is the ultimate enigma to me. Like he's obviously talented, but then he also, if you're so talented, why do you suck sometimes? He's kind of corny, but he's inoffensive. Like his corniness isn't. It's not that like who's really the victim of the corniness. It's just annoying more than anything.
His Kobe stuff's
but he's not
corny.
A bad guy.
No.
He's not a bad guy. He seems like a great father. He's like on the surface everything's fine, but like anybody who watches him that's not a Celtics fan is like,
not totally bought in.
You're not really bought in. But Embiid, so I'll finish my point. The Tatum. It would be easy for me to just say Tatum is too concerned about his legacy. I don't necessarily know that to be true, because I don't like Tatum. Just feels like a little weird in general, and I can't quite figure him out. Embiid, I 100% believe Embiid is like in his mind. He's like, all right, I got 6. It's not quite half. I gotta get 10 at halftime. I have to get 10 at halftime. Give me a touch. I gotta get 10 at halftime. Or like oh shit, I'm 2 assists away from a triple double. Like I do think Embiid cares about that. I think Embiid is caught up with like what people are saying about him, what people think about him, all that sort of thing. And I do think that plays into why he's been so bad for Team USA.
He's been bad. So first of all, who on this team do you think is acting like you just said? Embiid is one. I would have to think. I think LeBron.
I think LeBron a little bit, but yeah, well, not even a little bit. LeBron is. LeBron's aware of the moment.
Correct.
That's really it. I think it's like guys who are aware of the moment and what that means, like the fact, or even acknowledge that this is a moment. Because Derek White's just like, I'm playing basketball, dude. I don't know what
I think,
but LeBron is like, it's time. It's time. The fucking king is here.
I love the video of them all going their individual ways and doing their, like Steph is running under while LeBron's throwing it up. It's a great video. But no, I think there's 4 people, Embiid, LeBron, Steph, and KD, that we all think we're going to win the gold either way. They need to also play well for their legacy to be enhanced.
Yeah.
Like if Jrue Holiday doesn't play well, but we still win the gold, no one's out coming saying, yeah, but Jrue didn't play well.
That's right.
They'll say that about LeBron James. They'll say it about Joel Embiid.
And we'll say about Tate. I'd throw Tatum on there. Even Tatum's not of their caliber, but that's the whole point. Is like Tatum plays for the Celtics, which are the Celtics are one of the 2 franchises that NBA media, when they have nothing else to talk about, they just go to that well. So he's had a spotlight put on him. Now they won the championship, and obviously there are a lot of reasons why. And he's first team All NBA. He's a very talented player. I don't think he's on the same tier as those guys, but I do think that like if Tatum Tatum needs to have some good games for it. Or like he doesn't, because like the Celtics are still going to be fine next year. He needs to have some good games to avoid. Like, if we win gold and Tatum just sucks in every game or is just, like, so-so. He wasn't awful against South Sudan, but he was – the only reason you knew he was out there was because he didn't play in the first game.
First one.
And if he has games like that, literally every single game on the path to the gold medal, the talking heads. The talking heads are not going to be –
You're exactly right. This cycle we're going down is kind of bullshit, though. Like we're sitting here overanalyzing Jayson Tatum like we did in the NBA Finals too, where the Celtics were head and shoulders better than the Mavericks. Like, dude's all NBA, dude's on the cover of whatever, dude just signed a huge contract, dude's an NBA champion.
Jason, is that you?
And we're like, well, I'm just saying that we're over here being like,
but that's always been the thing with Tatum. Tatum's not. We're not comparing Tatum to Tyrese Halliburton. We're Jayson. It's like almost a compliment that you expect more from him. You're like, if you want to be on the LeBron Steph tier, here's what we need from you. We need like this level of play in these moments. And in the NBA Finals, you're not playing well. In the Olympics, you're not playing well. Like Steph is stuck in the Olympics, but we've seen it on like a huge stage over and over and over again. And Tatum is not. But like that's what I mean. Like. That's what makes it so fascinating to me. Is like if you were to say Jayson Tatum sucks or Jayson Tatum chokes or you're definitively wrong. You're just at that point an out and out hater. But at the same time, if you're now stacking him up against his idol Kobe and MJ, like because that's
fair.
When he's that talented, that young, he's thrust himself into that conversation where it's like, okay, you have a chance to be an all-time great. Now instead of comparing you to Pascal Siakam, I'm going to compare you to the all-time greats. I didn't mean Pascal Siakam to catch a stray there. Pascal Siakam,
No disrespect.
great basketball player. But I think that's where it gets lost. And then Celtics fans they're really the only ones that get fired up when anybody says less than glowing things about Tatum. They contextualize it as though you're comparing him to a Pascal. They're like, dude, he's fucking way better than Pascal. And I'm like, yeah, of course. What I'm comparing him to is the all-time great.
I agree.
Anyway.
It just feels like it stinks. It stinks to see that he finally won one, and it seems like his reputation while winning one has gotten worse.
It might have gotten worse.
But it is, like you said, a compliment to him that it's like, yeah, dude, if you're going to win one and you're going to be one of the best players, we're going to put you in a category where
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, honestly,
I
don't say that facility. Like, I genuinely that's where I'm coming at it from. Is like I've like obviously I work at Barstool now, and there's a lot of Boston influence at this company, both like people we work with and people that consume the content. And so I felt like an onslaught of like, dude, why the fuck do you hate Tatum so much? And I've never like wanted to backpedal from my stances on Tatum. But like that is transparently where I'm coming from. Is like I don't feel like I'm a Tatum hater. I just feel like I obviously don't think he's as good as Celtics fans think he is, but I'm looking at it from a standpoint of I do think he's super talented, and for that reason I've taken him out of this pod, comparing him to these players. I'm dropping him into this one, and in this pod over here, he's not.
Yeah, you can't carry the
he's not that he's not that great. But I did move him over here. Do I get credit for that? You know what I mean?
You're a Tatum supporter.
Like, yeah, so I'm not just I don't want to nitpick, and I think he's supremely talented, and I do think it'd be cool if he had an awesome game. But I don't know. I do think the corny stuff turns a lot of people off as well. I think he asked for it when he's texting Kobe, and and the clips of him after they won the championship, that was pretty tough too. The stage shit. FIBA versus NBA rules. Speaking of Kevin Durant being a content goldmine, so he doesn't play. We get content out of it. He does play. We get content. Katie's back. He's the best player ever on the international stage. This is awesome. Grabs his phone and starts tweeting. We get. I saw today, which was brought up on Mostly Sport. John Rich, I think, was the original guy who talked about this, and then we were laughing about it on Mostly Sports. He says he thinks Simone Biles can dunk a basketball, which is awesome.
How tall is Simone Biles?
5'1".
4'11". Yeah.
5'5". I would honestly, if I had to guess, like 5'3", 5'4", probably.
Get you.
Well, what happened? Okay.
4'8".
4'8"?
4'8".
Shut up. That's not true.
4'8".
4 meters, surely.
She is 4'8".
Is that
born in Columbus, Ohio?
I think I did know that, but forgot.
4'8" is crazy. So for her to dunk, obviously her hands are above her head, but that's holy cow.
4'8". Well, she
Titus, when were you 4'8"?
I don't know if I ever was. I think I came out of the womb like 5 foot tall.
4'8" is tiny.
4'8" is really small. But when you're watching the Olympics, that she's doing her floor routine and she bounces up, and then they pause it, and they're like she's 12 feet in the air, which she is. I don't mean to say the measurements are off. There are springs under the boards. What? There's springs under the boards.
Talk about downplaying the greatest Olympian.
Tate, are there not springs under the boards?
Fact check. There are springs under the boards.
Can we? Or are we not? Is this not a show of facts?
Fact check. I'm
just stating
springs.
Facts. That's all.
Wow. You're tossing.
This is why
strays
Durant's
today.
the man. This is why. I wish Durant only played for Team USA. I wish he didn't even play in the NBA. I wish he just only came around he played in every USA event there is.
Did you feel this way before he broke the internet and super teamed up with the Warriors? Like, were you anti-Durant when he was on the Thunder?
There was probably a little bias with the Odin Durant stuff, but that was, I don't know. I worked my way. I don't care that much about it. I never cared that much about it. And honestly, like, whatever, the NBA tried to pit those two against each other a little bit. And like the first time I ever talked to Greg about Durant in like 2008 or something, I just see Greg and I'm like, do we hate Durant? Do we love it? Like, if Durant does well, is that bad for you?
Yeah,
or
tell me how to feel.
Tell me how to feel about Kevin Durant. I will feel that way. And he's like, Kevin Durant's my favorite player in the NBA. I fucking love him. I was like, oh, okay, well then cool. I like him.
We
too.
like him.
Yeah. So I always kind of liked him. I do think the Warriors stuff was bad. I think the Warriors thing was bad.
It's kind of bullshit.
I think the Warriors thing was kind of a point of no return, really, for me.
I thought he was extremely likable. It didn't feel like the Thunder were like the young and hungry, like fun team to watch. and then he's like, well, I can't beat him, so I'm gonna go.
It was just it was like a moment. It's like something you just kind of can't unsee, and you just have like an idea of what a guy is. And you think he's like a guy who just because he was always he still claims to be this, and in a lot of ways he is, but he's always like a champion for the sport of basketball, and he's a guy who just wants to be known as a hooper, and I a lot of these other guys want to be NBA players. I don't want to be an NBA player. I just want to be a hooper, man. I just want to go out and hoop. I don't care if I made $10 trillion playing this game. I'm still going to show up and hoop. I'm going to hoop till the wheels fall off. All those sorts of things. And you're like buying into this ethos of what Kevin Durant is. And to me, him going to the Warriors just undercuts that entire thing. Just like the circumstances of how all that happened. And so, yeah, I think when that happened, it was just hard to ever win me back. But every time I see him in a USA jersey, I'm one back.
And he's fucking awesome.
And he's awesome. Anyway, Simone Biles, I think if you gave her he's awesome because he gives us content. That's what I'm saying. So he tweets about Simone Biles.
And the FIBA rules as well.
And then he tweeted about that was what the other thing I was going to bring up. He was mixing it up with the guy about FIBA versus NBA rules.
And you've mentioned a couple times you love.
I would say on this one, I'm going to push back. Well, both of them, I'm going to push back against Kevin Durant. Although, let's go back to the Simone Biles thing for a second, because Simone Biles, if you give her this hypothetical is she is going to run full speed. I'm assuming she's got to do some flippy dippy shit to get the momentum.
That's what I was going to say. What is
we're not.
So
assuming,
he's not saying she can go run up and dunk,
right?
Because she can't. Let me say this: she can't.
She can't. She
cannot.
Definitively can't. Or could she? But what if she could?
Spud Webb's shortest to dunk in the NBA, 5'6".
5'6", like a foot taller than her. If she did a full sprint to like half court and then did a couple flippy dippies, and then someone threw her a ball, could she get high enough to catch it and dunk it? My official answer, I don't know.
After hearing you say that,
I have no idea. I can't even conceptualize what that would look like, Tate.
My answer was crazy, like no way. Before you just said that, if she gets a running head start, flippy dip, two flippy dippies,
you get as much flippy dippy shit as you want, but you only have the size of the court. That's what I worry about. Can you build up enough momentum to do a couple flippy dippy shits to then dunk it? That's what I don't know.
So I don't know if she could dunk a basketball like in a game. Let me say this. You know what sport she'd be good at? Slam ball.
Slam ball.
Remember
yeah.
slam ball?
Oh yeah. She'd be
she
great
would be
at slam ball.
sick at slam ball.
First overall pick. This episode of the Mark Titus Show is brought to you by Body Armor Zero Sugar. The brand new Zero Sugar sports drink from our friends at Body Armor provides real hydration with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Whether you're looking to stay hydrated or recovering from a long weekend, Body Armor Zero Sugar has got you covered with great tasting flavors like fruit punch and lemon lime. I don't love this about myself. I'm not working out as much as I used to. When I was working out a lot, I was hitting the orange Body Armor Zero Sugar. I've gotten a little lazy over the summer, doing a lot of traveling. My routine's getting thrown out of sorts, and then I become lazy and all that. But what's crazy about Body Armor Zero Sugar is whether you're active or whether you're, frankly, being a little bit lazy like me, and you're having some long nights and waking up with a, little groggy, whatever. You need something. Water's not going to do it. I've been drinking a lot of the fruit punch in this phase of my life. The fruit punch is checking that box for me. So whatever your situation is, however active you are, Body Armor's Zero Sugar is the answer. I promise you that. Get yours today at Walmart or a local grocery store near you. Body Armor Zero Sugar. But Durant also, mixed it up about FIBA NBA rules. I'm going to disagree with him on this one too. Which should be no surprise to anybody who follows this show. My feelings on college versus NBA. Obviously, I skew more towards college. I think FIBA is. I do think FIBA like lands right in the middle of the two in terms of what it feels like you're watching. Like if you you watch college basketball and then flip on an NBA game, it does feel like a completely different sport. As Fran Fraschilla, I've loved the analogy he's used for years. It's like Portuguese and Spanish, where to someone who doesn't really speak either language, you're like, that's the same thing, isn't it? But like those of you who are people who know both, if you know both languages intimately, you're like, these are very different. These are so fucking different. I think FIBA lands right in the middle, where there are times where I'm like, yeah, dude, this feels just like college basketball. There are other times where I'm like, this feels just like NBA basketball, and that's why I think it's like the perfect marriage of the two. The things I like about FIBA, one. Zone defense. I do think having a rule that says you can't have guys on defense stand wherever they want to stand to me is stupid.
And what is
I've never understood
what's the reasoning though? Is it just because if we stuck a 7'5" guy in the middle of the paint and did this, it'd be
the reasoning is the NBA wants it to be run and go. They want to spread it out and create lanes for driving and kicking and getting more like skill and speed involved, which was a good idea in like the 90s maybe, but like now I think it's swung too far. And also I just think the premise of what I just said, like having a rule where you're like you just can't stand here. I think the defense should be able to do whatever they want. And I say that as a guy, I don't love zone defense. If I was a coach, I wouldn't really throw a lot of zone out there, but I think you should be able to.
I don't care if it's run and gun or if it's slow it down. What I'm saying is let the defense do what they want. And if you don't want them to do it, change how you play so they can't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you guys want to play zone defense, I would like to think as a coach, if you're going to go play a zone defense, you are telling my team you cannot guard us man to man.
Right.
And now we need to pick that apart.
Yeah. And so for me, I guess it's less about like I don't really zone at that level shouldn't really be played much anyway. Like because of what you just said, like if you're playing zone, you're basically waving the white flag.
Right. And with the ways these guys can pass.
So like it's not really going to matter that much, but for me it's more just the help side defensive 3 seconds thing, which is ultimately outlaws zone defense, but they can technically I should, for clarification, the NBA you can technically play zone. I'm talking about obviously defensive 3 seconds.
Right.
I should have clarified that. You can play zone defense in the NBA. You cannot hang out in the lane. That's really my bigger issue is I like the idea of a help side defender. Not necessarily. It's not even necessarily like the idea of parking like a huge dude underneath the basket. But if someone's killing you in isolation, you should be able to bring a ton of help over to like stop that guy, because then there's a counter to that, which is then swing it over to the open guy. Like if they're over helping, swing it over. I've never really loved defensive 3 seconds. I understand why the league put it in, but I think that would go a long way. And if you ask me if I could push a button and make it and kind of handcuff NBA offenses a little bit, I absolutely would push the button. I think NBA offenses are too overpowered, and I think defenses are helpless, and guys just throw their hands up. So I like seeing the FIBA game a little bit, because you're getting an NBA feel in a lot of ways, but you almost have to, and this was what Durant's argument was like NBA is more artistic and it's just like feel and it's just go and it's instinct, and it's like I got this gap, I'm gonna drive into it, and then I'm gonna just exploit mismatches and yeah, it's more of a flowy game, whereas FIBA is more of a thinking game. Maybe it's because I'm very unathletic and I'm a white guy from Indiana, but like to me, I enjoy the thinking game more. When I get really excited about basketball, it's like watching the Duncan Spurs. It's watching the Warriors. It's watching the ball moving around.
This year's Celtics.
It's watching dudes who are you see them in real time thinking the game. And I want to see that on full display, and that's when I get the most excited, is when I see thinking happen in real time.
How do you feel about, so the three, you literally said that you feel that this is kind of like halfway between the NBA and the NCAA is where we find FIBA. It is literally the 3-point line is halfway.
Yeah, it's halfway. Yeah, maybe, yeah.
What does that make you feel any type of way?
Well, yeah, I think that condenses the defense too, because I do think you have guys like Steph and Dame and at this point it's like everybody in the league. They have unlimited range, but they're ultimately most guys are going to spot up wherever you draw the 3-point
from the line.
line.
Yep.
They're all going to run their shit wherever the 3-point line is, and I think pulling it in, I don't know, and I'm not a data. I don't need to explain to my audience. I'm a dumbass, but there's probably data that says otherwise. My instinct is like if you pulled it in a little bit, it would maybe not drop score. It would help defenses. It would make it easier to guard, because your instinct on offense is to spot up on whatever 3-point line you have in front of you, which is just then means that the help defender is positioned like his closeout on a skip pass is shorter.
It's shorter, correct.
Which then helps. Like I do think my instinct would be that would help give defenses a little more power. And to be clear, when I say I want the offenses to be a little more handcuffed in the NBA, that does not mean I want less scoring. It's that I want the scoring to feel better, or like I want it to
earned a
little bit. And that's what I get excited about in FIBA, is like there's not a ton of isolation, and there are moments where You do get mismatches, and these guys are NBA. Like, if you're an NBA player, it's just burned into your brain that I have a smaller guy on me, I have a slower guy out. Like, I got to exploit this mismatch. But it is a different style of basketball where USA is not just coming up the floor, studying one ball screen, finding the mismatch they like and exploit it. They're not just doing that over and over and over again. They are working the ball a little bit more and driving and kicking more and stuff. And to me, I find that way more interesting. And yeah, that's what we talked about in the finals. Like, I mean, you had an isolation team versus a team that moves the ball, and it was moving the ball to me is always going to be the right way. Isolation will always be the wrong way. And I favor rules that encourage the movement of the ball and the necessity of the moving of the ball. It's not like, and I think if you give defenses the power to overhelp and to like throw two guys at a, just, you know what I'm saying? Like by saying no defensive 3 seconds, you're eliminating the defense's ability to like do what they want to do, frankly.
Right.
And now they're on the offense's terms, and I would love a world where the defense has a little bit of power. They can flex their muscle, and then when the offense scores, you're like, damn, now that was awesome how they were thinking the game and found the open shots and all this sort of thing. Anyway.
Another difference, I don't know if it makes you earn it anymore either way. Are you a fan of the once the ball strikes the rim, you can just swat the shit out of it?
Yeah, it always looks weird, but I think
I can't get enough of it.
I think I love it. Yeah, like whenever it happens, I do like lean. Like the first game I watch, I'll just like lean up and point. I'm like, what?
Hey.
And then I remember, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's kind of a good rule, I guess.
It's fun,
and it's not as.
I still don't think it's real. I don't understand how ball touches the rim, boom.
Yeah, it's not as cheesed as. Is that the right word, Cody? Am I using that right? It's not as cheesed as like you would know because you cheese the fuck out of that. Our college football dynasty where you run the same play over and over. It's not as cheesed as everyone thought it would be. Like when we as a basketball nation were introduced to this idea, we're like, well, what? We can't put that in the NBA. Why not just get like an 8-foot guy that stands under the rim and just swats everything out of the way? And then you watch the games and like that doesn't. It just
I think
there are a lot of games where like they just never do it. But when it does happen, it's cool. Yeah. I don't know. It makes sense to me too. It's like you had your chance to make like your chance to make it was your chance. Like you had your chance.
Don't hit the rim.
Just get let it bounce up there and spill in. Like swish it if you want it to go in. I love it. So my last thought on watching these USA games. I just wrote down Dwayne Wade.
Oh, I'll tell you
Dwayne Wade.
His pronouns.
What are? Can I take a guess?
That. I was watching that. I was watching the game, AirPods in on the beach, doing work. Titus doing work.
Oh yeah.
Always, but I had to rewind. He said it 3 times.
Yeah,
he said 300 times.
Yeah. I don't know if Dwayne Wade is good at the job.
Oh, I love it.
But I think I love him still. Like I think he's. I don't know if he needs more catchphrases. He doesn't always know what to say. It's a hard job. I want to make that clear. I did it one time for a St. John's St. Francis game. And
what did your prep look like for that? Like, did you have a sheet of like, sneak this one in there? Because he has a sheet. He just needs it to be longer.
Yeah. We, if you really want to know, we prepared the second half. We were expecting like a 30-point blowout, so we prepared a bunch of material for the second half. And then we looked up at the under 4 timeout, and it was like a 1-point game.
You had to call the game.
And we had to call the game, and we had to lock in. And also on the Uber ride from Manhattan to Jamaica, Queens. So I had to book my own travel. I was calling a St. John's basketball game. Where would you assume that game was being played? Be a dumbass for a second. Where would you assume that game was being played? Madison Square Garden. Yeah, that's what I thought. I did no actual looking into this, which I should have.
They do have schedules, right?
They do have schedules. Yeah. I knew I was calling a St. John's game, so I booked a hotel in Manhattan, not too far from, like a couple blocks from Madison Square Garden.
Walk on over.
Then I find out that they're playing in Carnesecca Arena on campus in Jamaica, Queens. So I take an Uber. It ends up being like an hour, 15 minutes. I get car sick very easily. That's one of the things I hate about myself, one of many. And we get to the gym. First of all, we get there like 30 minutes before tip. Like we did the deal where you get the Uber and it says you'll be there like an hour.
Yeah.
Hour ahead of time, and then just the ETA just keeps going and going, and I'm losing my mind. I'm car sick. I get out of the car, I'm throwing up like crazy. I go to the bathroom and I'm like hugging a toilet in a suit and tie, just throwing up. I splash water on my face. I brush my teeth. I had a toothbrush with me for some reason, just in the bag I had with me. And I brushed my teeth. I sat down in that chair, Tate. The ball tipped off no less than 2 minutes after I sat down in the chair.
Wow. And this was your first ever
It was the first time I ever
and
did
only
it.
time.
Yeah. The only yeah, no shit, it was the only time.
Wow.
My bosses saw that and they were like, "What?"
You're saying it's hard though.
But as the game went on, I thought when I sat down, I was like, "This is just going to be a podcast. We're just going to podcast during the game," and we kind of did. Other Tate, he was like, he's a little more classically trained, so he did a pretty decent job of like play by play and stuff. And he kind of had a good idea of like the cadence of stuff. I wasn't good at like when you're doing color, you gotta hit it and just get out. Just hit it and get out. Just be like, that's good shit from Bam. You can't even say shit, I guess. So that would be bad right there. Right, that's bad right there. Like that's good by
stuff.
Bam Adebayo. Good stuff
stuff
from Bam Adebayo right there. Just picking up the loose ball and dunking it. That's it's the hustle. If you notice him hustling, he that's just who this guy is. And then you just get it, and then you have to like almost stop and let the other guy call the action.
So is it just you two?
Yeah, it was just us two.
So Tate was like calling the game, and then you were like giving in your quick.
I just little, and most of them were dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, his shoes are bright or something. I don't know. Because I studied the teams as best I could, but also this was like game like 4 or 5 for both teams. You just need to
go a bunch of basketball sayings.
Yeah.
Like, they call him the janitor because he's always cleaning up the glass.
Right.
Like, you just got to drop those.
Peppered those in. But yeah, I realized when I walked away from that experience, I was like, I suck at the cadence of being a color guy because there's like something, there's an art to it. And all of that is to say that I think Dwayne Wade is also not good at it, but there's one little difference between myself and Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade is Dwayne Wade.
Right.
And Dwayne Wade rules. I think Dwayne Wade's awesome. I think he's very charismatic. I think he's always in a good mood, seemingly. I think he's like he speaks glowingly of like younger players. I think he's a great ambassador for basketball. And so I'm buying into the Dwayne Wade color commentary experience, but I got to say, like, if I was breaking it down, if I was doing a blind resume,
if you had to evaluate him,
I'd be like, I don't
my
know.
question,
but I love Noah Eagle, by the way. He's so good. He's like 25 years old or something. He's killing it.
I would say if you were to like grade Dwayne Wade, like you're his teacher and he was doing his final, he's probably not doing a very good job, but I love that he's played in it. I love that he knows all the guys. Right. Like he'll tell you the insights about LeBron. Now LeBron really is like,
and that's where he wins you over. Is that's how if you do stuff like that, I will forgive the fact that
technicalities.
Yeah, or that you've said him 10,000 times or like stuff like that. Like if you continue to offer like anecdotes about LeBron or like talk about your experience playing, that sort of stuff is super valuable and fun. Where do you think
calling the Olympics like group stage like falls on the, like, it's not the major leagues? Is it single A? Is it like, would he be able to go do college games right now? The TBT?
Dwayne Wade?
Yeah. He
get hired to do the Final Four right now.
So he could just do anything.
He's Dwayne Wade. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Right.
Based on his talent of calling games.
Yeah, I'm just watching him on Peacock being like, is there a reason why he's on?
Based on his talent, I do think we'd hire him here. I do. I think he could get a podcast at Barstool.
Okay.
I think he could.
Maybe throw a chair in here?
I think we would find use of him.
Open invite.
I don't know. That's a Jake Marsh question, dude. I don't know the hierarchy.
Yeah.
I think for Jake, it was Final Four. I think that's the peak.
Is the peak of it?
But I don't know, dude. I would say.
I mean, this is a natural.
I would say Olympics is pretty sick. That's once every 4 years.
And it's a natural fit for him because he knows the guys and he's played and everything. Yeah. I don't think they would want him calling a basketball game.
Just any basketball. Yeah. Marist at Northeastern.
Hey guys, it's Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade's on the call for ESPN+.
You know what they call? You know what his pronouns are?
I would love to see John Fanta and Dwayne Wade call a game together.
That'd be kind of sick.
Did you watch the? It's okay if you didn't. It's fine. No, I don't think most people did. You watch the Kentucky Louisville TBT game?
I'm following Carmen's crew. I'm not.
That's
following
right, dude.
It all yet, but
Buckeye boys are rolling. We're playing the Kentucky team now. Oh, spoiler, by the way, Kentucky won the Kentucky Louisville game. I know you were sorry. I know you said you didn't watch it, and I'm sorry to spoil that because when Kentucky and Louisville play, it's usually a situation where you have no idea who's going to win. Either team could win.
Throw the records out the window when they play.
Louisville fans would love for you to throw the record book out because they never win that game ever. So they would love for you to. I was the whole reason I brought it up is because I mentioned John Fanta and he was. I fucking love John Fanta. We got to hire John Fanta here.
I know
he's calling a TBT game, Tate, which I don't want to put down to TBT. It's a ton of fun, but like it is alternative basketball in the summer, and it's like
I like it.
I think for a casual viewer, it's like not that serious. You know, for the players, sure, there's $1 million online. For a casual viewer, you're like, I don't know. I love basketball. There's not a lot of basketball on. I want to watch it.
I used to go to the TBT in person. I love
really?
to watch it. Yeah, I love watching the MAC team and the Ohio State team and all that.
John Fanta was calling this like it was the Final Four.
Oh, he
was, and it's because John Fanta has one speed, and it's just enthusiasm. And he was just like shot out of a cannon.
And he called the Kentucky Louisville.
He called the Kentucky.
So
Louisville
did he stay on for the fight?
Yeah, a little bit. I forget how he described it. He was like, I think he said, "You don't want to see this." This is something you don't want to see. As the cameras are like panning and zooming in. But Fanta's like, you do not. Oh, and that's a scene we do not want to see. After a great hard fought game. But yeah, the Kentucky. I'm one thing you should know about me. I am probably the preeminent hater of the Kentucky Louisville rivalry.
But you call it a rivalry still?
It is a rivalry, but being a college basketball talking head, I often get put in situations where I have to talk about my favorite rivalries in the sport, and inevitably I will not talk about Kentucky Louisville, and then I'll have people from Kentucky be like, dude, that's literally. This list is invalid. Kentucky Louisville is literally the best rivalry. It's better than Carolina Duke, dude. We only play once a year. It's two public schools, so it's like you don't have the. It's like actually people of these, communities versus like Duke's not actually North Carolina. Those people are from all over, and there's like these are our neighbors that we're fighting with, all that sort of shit. And all that's fine and well. The problem with Kentucky Louisville is that Kentucky wins every time they play. Every single time they play. Now, I will say, Louisville fans, stick with me. I'm hearing some good things from this team. Now, Louisville is currently, as far as I know, playing in the Bahamas. Pat Kelsey at the helm, new coach, and I've heard it's going well. I've tried to watch it, but I don't know. Couldn't quite.
So Louisville's playing well.
But I heard Louisville might be back.
Kentucky's got a new coach.
They're saying Louisville might be back. I think Kentucky's going to be good this year.
Can the rival? Oh damn.
I think Kentucky's
trying to give some optimism.
Oh, you're trying to have your Louisville. This will be a great test, though. This will be a great test because I think Kentucky is. There's a lot of unknown, obviously, with Kentucky. There's a lot of unknown with Louisville, and I think that I think there's a world where Pat Kelsey can pull it together but seriously, look up the Kentucky Louisville rivalry, the all-time history.
I see a lot of W's.
It's like almost always Kentucky. And then they were playing in TBT, and I turned the game on. I was like, well, I'll be damned.
The alumni of Kentucky,
God is my witness,
still is better.
It's Kentucky basketball beating Louisville basketball. That's crazy. No, the Buckeyes, we play Kentucky now in the TBT.
Ooh, when is that? Do you know?
I think it might be Saturday. Maybe?
We also have a Team USA game Saturday.
Which one, if they're both on at the same time, which one we lock in?
I really like Ohio State, man. But no, Team USA.
Yeah.
Group stage, even though we're already in the next round. Hey, but real quick, between those two teams we've already played, South Sudan and Serbia, I saw the line. What would you set that line at?
Oh yeah, because they got to play the winner. The winner moves on, right?
Winner's in,
losers out.
Mm-hmm. And it made my eyes open even farther.
Okay, well, the fact that you're saying this.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm gonna pretend like I didn't hear you say that.
Okay.
I would set the line at Serbia minus 5.5.
What about for the second quarter? Minus 16.
Oh my God, no! South Sudan, dude. They're locked in.
We watched both. The South Sudan plays hard and they're long and they're athletic and they care so much. They're not 20 points worse than Serbia.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Am I stupid?
I don't know. I don't know.
The problem is they don't have. We got to stop with the NBA. I don't know how else to do it. But I think you look at South Sudan, you're like they don't have NBA players. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't mean they don't have players.
Yeah, they're not like a bunch of like refugees that have never touched the ball.
Never touched the ball.
These dudes,
they're not the Jamaican bobsled team, dude. They're not showing up what is this? We were it's not like fucking the Olympic Committee went to South Sudan with a bus and was like, anybody that wants to play in the Olympics, hop on. And then they fucking drove to Paris and dumped them out. And
But it kind of acts like they are.
They act like they are.
The media
yeah.
kind of acts like it's kind of
Dude,
cool
they're
story.
good. They got guys that could shoot and super athletic, and they play hard as fuck. And there's a ton of pride there. And I think that matters. And now Serbia has a ton of pride as well. They also have Nikola Jokic. So maybe in the end there'll be a lot of
16's a lot.
A lot of palms up from South Sudan shrugging their shoulders like, I don't know what to do guarding this guy. I just don't know what to do. He's too good. But I don't know. I've fallen in love with South Sudan.
Mm-hmm.
I've fallen in love with the whole story and how good they are. And they, as Frank the Tank called them, they're an expansion country. That cracked me up. We're losing to an expansion country. I think that might be it. Mm-hmm. Oh, 3-on-3. You watching 3-on-3 at all?
Men's and women's combined from
suck.
the USA, 0-6.
We suck. We suck at 3-on-3. I think it's a.
You ever played 3-on-3?
Not that. Not
No.
like what that is.
Okay.
I've played like in the backyard.
Yeah.
I've played like basketball where there's only 3 on. I've not played that version. It's crazy. One, it is a completely different sport, and I'm not saying. I mean that literally, not like how we talk about college versus NBA. Like it is just crazy. It's just chaos. It's like basketball for people with ADD, I think. But two, one of the issues I think we have is Jimmer's awesome. Mm-hmm. Jimmer is apparently supposed to be the best player in 3-on-3 in the world.
That's the thing. We weren't supposed to be bad. We were supposed to be very good.
We're supposed to be good, but like we should be putting out more talented guys. And I don't mean to shit on these guys, but also in a more real sense, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to shit on the talent of these guys because my understanding is the way it works is you have to play in enough events to, like personally, not as a team, you personally or you're whatever, like it's not like Team USA qualifies. You as an individual have to be in these events, the fucking pro-am type, right. Whatever. Like you have to. It's like being a pilot, I guess. You have to register enough hours to get behind the cockpit. Like I don't know. My analogies are falling apart.
No, you're.
I need to be better with analogies. I need to go to analogy school, dude. My analogies suck. But the point is, the only way to play there is to like go earn it, grassroots style. Whereas most people, when they throw on the 3-on-3 in the Olympics, they assume that we took our 12 best, threw them on the men's national team, and then why don't we just take the next 3 best and throw them on the 3-on-3? I've seen
a lot of, like, where's Jalen Brunson?
Where's Jalen Brunson?
Send Jalen Brunson out there.
And if we did that, of course we would win. Of course we would win. But
we're not.
I think that's the issue. So but even, never mind Jalen Brunson, just down the line, like the guys who are the best players in college that could theoretically be playing on the 3-on-3 team, they don't have the time,
right? And
to go.
We wouldn't allow them.
Yeah,
like Cooper Flagg's not allowed to go do that. Jalen Brunson's not allowed to go do that.
We'd have
let him go, not qualify.
Not qualify. That's the issue. Yeah, and if it was a situation where we could just send Cooper Flagg to go to Paris for a couple weeks and play 3-on-3, I think Duke would be like, yeah, go ahead, go win a gold medal.
I would watch the shit out of it.
But if for the last 3 years Cooper Flagg had to step away from every basketball thing he was in to go to Wichita to play,
I got a question, Titus.
Like at a car dealership parking lot, 3-on-3 against some guys.
Some Gus Macker.
Yeah, Gus Macker. I don't think that would have been a good idea.
Are we not the United States?
No, we are, dude. That's the thing.
If
we are.
we want to send Cooper Flagg to the 3-on-3, we're just going to tell the rest of the world these are the new rules.
Sounds like JFK giving the moon speech or
I'm just saying, I'm tired. Like, let the people. No, Jalen Brunson should not have to go qualify. Let him go play.
You almost said let my people go. You almost said
I didn't say that.
You almost said it. You're loading that up. Gordon Hayward's retiring. Shout out Gordon Hayward.
The pride of Brownsburg.
Yeah. Brownsburg Bulldog. Go Dogs. Beat Avon. Gordon Hayward is a good basketball player. He was at times a great basketball player. In college, he was a great player. I think he had an awesome career, and I think the injury he sustained he never really fully recovered from it. But I think in my mind, and I am biased, I played with Gordon for 2 years in high school. He was 5'9", I think, when we played together, and then the second I graduated, we were okay. It is Indiana. It's high-level basketball in Indiana. So, like, just having, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, having one guy that played in the NBA kind of wasn't enough back then. You had Eric Gordon in the area. You had Greg Oden in the area. You had Mike Conley in the area. You had Josh McRoberts in the area. George Hill, Courtney Lee. There were some fucking ball players. We were okay. We won some games. We were a competitive team, but we weren't special by any stretch of the imagination. Lost the sectional championship to Jeff Teague and the Pike boys. Anyway, I graduate Tate. I move on to college. Get a phone call from my father, and he's like, "You paying attention to what's going on with Gordon?" And I said, "No, I haven't, Dad. I've been kind of consuming my own shit, to be completely honest."
Right.
He's like, "Yeah, so Gordon's like 6'7" now, and he's just dunking on everybody." And I was like, "That can't be right. That just can't be right." He was always super skilled growing up. Like he could shoot and handle it and was smart as hell. But when my dad told me he was 6'7", I was like literally as soon as I leave, he's 6'7". They go on to win state championship this senior year.
Wow, I didn't know that.
He was a killer. He was a killer. He was an absolute killer. But that's the reason why he went to Butler is Gordon was a massive, if my memory serves, Gordon was a massive Purdue fan. I think his parents both went to Purdue. They had like Purdue season tickets.
Okay.
But Brad Stevens was on him early. Brad Stevens offered like, this is why I need to go to analogy school. Who's Captain America? What's his fight? You know when Captain America? Oh yeah, it is LeBron. You know when Captain America was like a skinny little bitch, and then he like gets the thing, and then becomes like
yeah.
Brad Stevens was recruiting the pre Gordon Hayward. So Gordon was like, Brad Stevens is my guy. Steve Rogers, yeah.
Before he gets the soldier serum.
Brad was recruiting skinny arm Steve Rogers, you know, and he's like, I don't need you to be Captain America. I love you for who you are. And Gordon was like, that's respect, dude. I love you too. And he's like, I guess I'm gonna go to Butler. And then by the time he blew up, like all these other schools came calling. He was like, I'm gonna stay loyal to my guy.
Wow.
That's why he ended up at Butler. Because like even when he got to Butler, he was a killer as a freshman. Anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying it's been fun to watch Gordon's career. He's a great dude, and I think he was a hell of a player, even at the NBA level. And I don't know if history will look back on him at the NBA level as fairly as it should. I don't know why I'm prematurely insecure about that, but I feel like
you feel a certain way.
I feel like people won't remember Gordon as good as he actually was, because he never Gordon never really had like huge playoff moments. Maybe that's why. But he was on some decent teams. He could score the basketball. He could defend. And there's something to be said. I mean, like to be a pasty white boy from Indiana, and you know,
he was an all-star
at a time when we're looking at Cooper Flagg and we're like, huh, white guy, really? Yeah, to have Gordon Hayward
could have given us the best sports moment of all time. Though.
He could have given us the best sports moment. Yeah,
of all time.
But dudes would go at his neck when he got into the league because he looked like a schoolboy. Dudes would just like size him up and be like, I'm gonna fucking crush this guy. And he had to take that over and over, and he held his own. He was a hell of a player, and I think the timing was right though. I hope he's around. I hope he's around Butler more now. I hope this helps Thad and the boys at Butler.
Looked like Thad and the boys are doing some recruiting over there too.
Maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe
I don't hate that.
You get Gordon on the phone a little bit. Get something rolling at Butler.
Get a shooter on staff over there.
Get that wallet open a little bit too. Get that bank account routing numbers. All right, I think that's it. We got a game against Puerto Rico, and then I think the real live bullets. I mean, these games did count, but I guess we could lose by 100 to Puerto Rico and be fine, right? Is that why Joel Embiid's starting?
It all comes down to what do they draw out of a hat? How you set up the bracket? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
So we want to win. Well, we would win either way because we already beat the team that came in second. I think I'm already group watching on the other side.
Oh really?
I'm group watching.
I'm not watching as much as I thought I would. I was excited about watching all the basketball, but as it turns out, they play the games when I'm doing all the show. Like honestly, it's like mostly when we record mostly sports in the Yak seem to be when the games are on, and then I try to go back and watch them, but then I ended up watching like women's rugby or something.
Saturday should be good.
I fired up the DVR and I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna watch Greece and Spain, or whoever's playing, and then I hear about some rugby girl, Lona Mar, and I'm like, I gotta get a taste of this, dude. I gotta watch us fuck some shit up on the rugby field. All right, thank you to everybody watching, everybody listening. Love you guys. It is August. We're inching ever closer to some college basketball. I'm getting fired up. I've been paying attention. Jokes aside, I have been paying attention to Lenardi's bracketology type stuff. Like he only put the one out, but I'm starting to lock in a little bit. I had a guy I went to California for a wedding last weekend, and I'm in the airport, and I had a layover in Dallas, and I'm walking through the Dallas airport, and a guy walks up to me. He's like, "What do you think about Baylor this year, Titus?" And I was like, "Yes,
We're back. We're getting close.
Feel it getting close." So anyway, that's on the horizon. In the meantime, we're gonna keep talking about Team USA because they are a ton of fun, and I don't care if they win by 50 every game. I'm gonna enjoy watching every second. So thank you to Tate as always. Thank you to everybody watching and listening. We'll see you next week.